The Human Canary, Video 7, an egregious episode of medical malpractice. Jayant Mukundra Patel was an Indian doctor born in Gujarat, India. Initially, he studied surgery at the M.P. Shah Medical College, obtaining a master's degree. He then moved to the United States, where he received further surgical training at the University of Rochester School of Medicine as a surgical intern and a resident in surgery. In 1984 in Buffalo, health officials cited Patel for failing to examine patients before surgery. He was fined $5,000 and was placed on 3 years clinical probation. In April 2001, New York State health officials withdrew Patel's license. In 1989, Patel moved to the Kaiser Permanente Hospital in Portland, Oregon. In 1995, the hospital named him a Distinguished Physician of the Year. By this time, he had been involved in a string of problem cases, 8 of which had prompted or would later lead to malpractice or wrongful death lawsuits. In September 2000, after reviewing 4 cases involving the deaths of 3 patients, the Oregon Board of Medical Examinations made Patel strict restrictions statewide. Even though his medical license had been restricted, Patel still received glowing letters of recommendation from his colleagues at Kaiser Permanente. In 2003, Patel moved to the position of Director of Surgery at the Bundaberg Base Hospital, where he was employed by Queensland Health under an Area of Need program, where overseas trained doctors are employed in predominantly regional understaffed areas. He was appointed despite having no specialist surgical qualifications. Shortly after he commenced duties at Bundaberg Base Hospital, the nursing staff nicknamed him Dr. Death and hid their patients from him when they knew he was in the hospital. Patel showed poor regard for hygiene, and it is alleged he altered medical records, including death certificates, in order to hide his inadequacies. Several of Patel's medical co-workers in Australia later testified to having repeatedly blown a whistle on him, only to be ignored by medical superiors and other authorities. Patel was linked to at least 87 deaths amongst the 1,202 patients he treated between 2003 and early 2005. A public inquiry concluded 13 patients died whilst under his care in Bundaberg. Scores of his patients claimed needless suffering under Patel's scalpel. In 2005, the lid blew off the cover up when media accusations arose accusing Patel of fatal incompetence. By then, it had also been learned that Patel had been forced to hand in his practicing license in New York State and had been found guilty of gross negligence in Oregon. Patel quickly departed Australia for Portland, Oregon, using a business class airfare paid for by Queensland Health. It seemed Queensland Health didn't want Patel around to answer awkward questions. 23rd of November 2013, Kathy Marks, Independent, and John Taylor, updated 15th of May 2015, ABC News, is where this report emanates from. After receiving numerous complaints, it was reluctantly decided Patel should be extradited from the US, and he returned back in Australia, arriving at Brisbane Airport on the morning of 21st of July 2008. After a lengthy investigation and trial, on July the 1st, 2010, he was sentenced to 7 years jail for his offences. He quickly appealed and after a retrial, a deal was reached that all other charges would be dropped, providing Patel pleaded guilty to 2 counts related to him dishonestly gaining registration and 2 counts relating to dishonestly gaining employment in Queensland. Patel was sentenced to a 2-year suspended sentence for those fraud charges and set free. Since July the 1st, 2010, the National Health Practitioner Law came into effect, which governs the Australian Health Practitioner Regulation Agency, the AHPRA. The AHPRA supports 14 health professions, including doctors and nurses, which are responsible for regulating the various health professions and acts on disciplinary complaints concerning health professionals. The APHRA's tribunal proceedings can be seen at www.ahpra.gov.au/publication/tribunal-decisions.aspx. If there is any doubt, Queensland Health has been reluctant in the past to prosecute doctors, even when they commit the most egregious of offences, then the experience of Miss Jo Barber should soon dispel it. Miss Barber, a former police officer, was a medical board representative on the Health Quality Complaints Commission before joining the Ethical Standards Unit. In 2010, she gave the Crime and Misconduct Commission the names of 18 doctors she says may have maimed or killed patients. They included doctors who gave the wrong medication, a specialist who beat children, and an inept surgeon who let a patient bleed to death. One incompetent surgeon from Townsville had fled after serious allegations he was responsible for a number of deaths. When interviewed in 2012, Ms. Barber said that many of the doctors are recklessly incompetent and still practicing. Jo Barber, 42, from Queensland Health's Ethical Standards Unit, believes there were another 100 cases of medical malpractice that were not properly investigated. She was stunned to discover that serious complaints against doctors from other doctors and members of the public had not been properly investigated. Queensland Health was notorious for covering up medical mishaps and would not cooperate with investigators, she said. Worse, they stifled investigations. She continued, in case after case, it became apparent the medical fraternity was concerned with only protecting its own. This report comes from Des Houghton, May 13, 2012, Sunday Mail, Queensland. It seems in Queensland's recent past, doctors could truly bury their mistakes. Please hit the subscribe button if you want to continue to dispel the myths surrounding medicine. It's a little image of a Neanderthal on the bottom right of your screen. Also, please indicate whether you like or dislike this video.